gapped a little bit. So I encourage you to make this. It doesn't take long. It just fits right in there, and then you turn that. It'll help you a lot. Keep everything straight and lined up. Because the more you keep it straight and lined up, the better your top is going to spin and the better it's going to work. Questions or comments on that? Got it down, right? Diagram should help, I hope. All right, let's see what to do here. When you put it in the lathe, what we're going to do is this is going to be the top end. It's going to spin like this. We want to turn that first. So I'm going to put this in there, but I'm not going to jam it in for two reasons. One, on some of the blanks, there's a little glue around the edge that's uneven. Or you might have a little splinter that's left out around this end. Or, even though these were drilled on a drill press, I have found that sometimes they wobble a little bit. So what we really want to do is keep it straight from this point to this point. So I'll put this in loosely and leave just a little air gap there. I'm going to pull this up. Oops. I'm going to back that off a little bit. Get this centered pretty much, and then we'll tighten that. The only thing I'm not tickled about with this chuck is you have to use wrenches. Now, JR's come up with a new wrench, I believe, that he sells. Mike, I think, has it over there. It might work better, I don't know, but that's the wrench. We'll tighten that. Then we'll tighten this a little bit more, because that pulls it in. And then we're good to go. I'm going to move this up pretty close. Now, get protective equipment on here. And a couple of things. You're ready to go, right? So you got to knock the corners off this big thing. So there's a temptation to grab your spindle roughing gouge. You know that big honking thing you've got? Don't do that. Don't ask me how I know. It's just not advisable, okay? We're knocking the corners off. If you take a big gouge and a big bite, we've only got a 3/8 inch dowel here. So, you know, it can twist off, and it has twisted off, and a couple of us in this room have twisted it off. I'm not naming names. It's not fun. You don't want to do that. So,
Hey, Nelson?
yes.
Talk about the other reason not using the spindle roughing gouge in the end grain.
It grabs and can break.
Well, yeah.
And?
But like in this orientation, you think your spindle turning. You know, the spindle orientation, the end grain's on the end, and you're turning all side grain. These blanks have end grain on two sides. So they're spinning this way. So you're actually turning a bowl. So you cannot use your spindle roughing gouge. It will grab that end grain, and it could, I mean, these are small, but it could break your gouge, or, you know, definitely if you get a catch, it'll break the stem. But that's why you don't want to use that.
Ask to splinter it and rip out a huge chunk. What Mike is saying is you really like turning a bowl here. So, I'm going to suggest use a bowl gouge. Don't use a spindle gouge of any kind on there, much less your big one. I'm going to use a 3/8 inch. If you don't have 3/8, a half will work. That's fine. Just be careful. But a bowl gouge grind rather than that spindle, because that's what you're doing. The second thing, you think, oh, that's going to hit a lot, and with bowls, you know, they keep advising, turn only at a speed you're comfortable with. Well, what happens with a bowl when you start turning at a slow speed? You put that chisel in, you go, it hits it real hard, and it makes your gouge go in and out, and so you tend to shove it in a little farther each time, nothing good happens out of that. So on this, with this size and what we're doing, speed is your friend. So I'm going to be turning at 2,500 or above. And so turn up your lathe, put it on speed, and we'll show you how that works. Okay, I'm going to, what you do is watch the top, and I'm going to go slow. This is not the time to get impatient. We'll turn up the speed so you don't have to hurry. Okay, love that sound, right? Bruce curve. ABC, anchor, bevel, cut. Alright? Okay, but you don't want to jam the tool with that speed. Anchor, bevel. Okay, we've got it round. I try not to take any more off than you need to, because the larger the top is, the longer it spins. So, and kids, you know, will be competing in there somewhere. So, now that we've got it round, now you start shaping it. So, where do you want the center point to be? What kind of shape do you want? We can make it so it's like this, where the center point is pretty high. You can make it round like this. You can make it so the center point is low. So, where should we put the center point?
High, wherever you want.
High, somebody said. All right. We'll put it there. That's just a guide. We'll go there. I like Mike's answer, wherever you want. That's a good one. Okay. You can use whatever cut works best for you. There is the I find that I take off more material quicker if I use a pull cut and put the gouge about like that angle and come and pull. I find it's a little smoother cut if I put it like this and push. So you can do it either way. So I'll probably do a little bit of both, and then we'll try a little shear scrape, which just a little bit over like this, and drop the handle, and should have real fine shavings. Let's see how that works. Okay, see what we've got, relatively smooth. The joint up here is pretty good, could be better. I'm going to use my skew, not as a skew, but as a shear scraper. And that will help you avoid a lot of sanding. But do it gently, gently. This hand is just going to hold it up. This is going to press it on the tool rest so it doesn't chatter. And it will get a nice clean corner in with the velvet. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm not going to sand it because it's pretty smooth right now, and I want to avoid as much dust as we can. So now, let's put a little embellishment on the top, shall we? Make a little interest. And let's try a couple of things. I like to use the Wagner tool. It's got these little, I don't know what you call it, embossing, I guess. It basically makes little dents in the wood. And I like it. We don't have a lot of room here, so I'll try that. Usually about 600 is a good RPM. Plus or minus. And this top is curved just a little bit, so this tool likes to skate. So okay, we'll do that. Then we use this little tool. You can use it as an angle. It cuts and scrapes. On this grain, sometimes it tears things out, so I'm just going to use it straight on, like this, and see what kind of pattern we get. I don't know. Okay. Interesting. You never know, do you? Okay, now I'm going to use this 3-point tool, which reminds me that everyone who actually steps up to one of these lathes and tries it yourself, we're going to invite you to sign a sheet of paper. I've got one around here somewhere, because we're going to do a drawing at the end of this for a 3-point tool.
Paper here?
There's one. John's got one. Max has got one. There's a third one somewhere. We'll find it. If you don't have one, these are fun and very handy. This one's got a sycamore handle, and it's a drill bit here, so it's high-speed steel. It's going to stay sharp a long time, and you'll find that to be a very handy little tool. So we'll do a drawing of everybody who actually tries this. We're going to use this 3-point tool to frame the embossing. Whenever you do decoration or something, you want to put a frame on it, just like a picture in your house, because it draws attention to it. So that's what we want to do now, is we'll frame each of these. I'll make sure I know where my start and my stop is. There, we'll see how that colors. Okay, I've got colors here. Somebody pick a color. Red. All right. And second color. Green. Got it. And I'll pick the third color. Black. So we'll do a little red here. I think this is red. These little brush tip markers really work well. Always use it brush point down, you know. And our plan is to color the top, and where we've embossed will remain white. So this is the green. Now the black, again, frames it. And I'll show you one other little trick. Sometimes this joint isn't quite what you want it to be. And you don't want to keep taking it down on the stem. So sometimes you can use your little black pen and make it look like you did that on purpose. And not that you would have mistakes, you understand, but in case the wood is imperfect, this is something you can do, okay? I imagine that's a little hard to see from where you are right now. But we will pass it around in a minute here. Unscrew. Now, not too bad. I don't know. Camera get that? Okay.
Hey, Nelson, here's a couple that Mike made if you don't have a embellishing tools.
Ah, okay. Good idea. Mike made 2 of these. If you don't have embellishing tools, you just put a groove around and color those grooves. And if you're really good and have a steady hand and have a slow speed, you put a little spiral on. We'll try that in a minute. Okay. I'm going to have to ask for one of those back so I can go on to my next step. Where's the one I was working on? Okay. We'll let the rest of you see it in a minute. Thank you. Then, what we're going to do next is you have to turn it around. So we'll put the long end in. And on this end, this is what we want to run through. We're going to turn this point off to make a point. We're going to put this in pretty tight. Tighten it up. It should be right there. That'll work. Okay, in shaping the bottom, we want this to be up here. What I'm going to do is leave it just a little space, and to show you why in a minute. We'll leave a little space there, and then we'll taper the bottom. And then, when we get it pretty fine, I'm going to make the point and use a different tool then. Okay? smooth we got it. I'm not going to sand again. Well, I am right there. I'm going to sand a little bit. Light colored woods, normally 150, does pretty good. Got 180, I guess. That's all we'll do with that. Now you can embellish the bottom as you wish. Mike loves to do that. You can see his tops. I personally don't, because it's on the bottom and the kids don't see it anyway. So now we'll move to doing the point. For the point, because now we're down here small and it's much more spindle, I like to use a 1/4 inch spindle gouge. You use whatever tool you're comfortable with. This, to me, helps me get down and do some of the finesse, and I like it, so I've used it a lot and I practice with it. But you know how it goes. You've got your favorite tools. So this will do that. I'll take the tip off a little ways away, because sometimes when you get down to the end, the grain pulls out, and we want a solid tip, because that's going to get the most abuse on this top. So I'm going to take it down. I'm not going to make a sharp point, because A, they're dangerous, and B, they don't last. You'll find a top really doesn't need a sharp point. So I'm going to make it a little bit rounded, and you'll see me burnish the end a little bit. We'll go over that in a minute. Okay? Burnishing. Okay, the bottom of this top, you'll find that when the drill bit went through the wood, for some reason the fibers probably, the end grain fibers weren't as strong, or for some reason the drill bit, instead of cutting them off cleanly, twisted them off. So you've got a little bit of gap down here. I'm going to try to clean that up a little bit, and if I can't, we'll use the magic marker trick. Oh my, that's worse. Did you see how the wood just flew off of there just a little bit? That says that it wasn't real solid and the glue didn't hold real well. So I'm going to try plan C. Looks like we planned it that way. Okay, two more things I like to do. Well, one thing I like to do and another is an experiment. I like to burn lines and things. I don't know about you, but it's just kind of fun. So let's try to burn a couple of lines in here. Give a little swat. Where to put it? Right over there.
One thing to remember on burning lines, that wire is hot, don't touch it. What you've done, we've all done that.
I read about it on the internet.
Max has never done it.
Yeah, okay. Let's, I don't do this much, so this is kind of risky, but let's try Mike's spiral down here, and if I mess it up, it's on the bottom of the top, and, you know, let's see what we can do. Okay. I think that's the top. Okay, questions? Okay, before we break down, we're going to want you to come and please try your hand at it. Max over here, Mike over here will be mentors. These two guys are a couple of the best teachers we have in the club. They've got great experience. You know how you get good experience, don't you? With bad experience. And they've probably made most of the mistakes anybody can make, so don't worry about it. We want to turn some tops today, and then before you leave, we hope you'll take a bag from back there and take a bunch of tops with you, and just sign out. We want to follow up in case somebody forgets. What you do is take the tops, turn them, finish them, and then put them in the bag with your name, address, email, and phone number. That's just for our records. They go anonymously to the kids. And on the outside, just put tops. And there's two places to drop them off. One is here at Woodworks. You can give them to staff, or most of the time, they store them in the conference room. Up in the corner there. If they're having a conference, please don't walk in. You know, give it to somebody. If you go to Woodcraft, if that's more easy, give it to staff. They've got a spot back in their stock room that they do that. I'll pick them up. We'd like to have these returned 4 weeks, a month from today, October 18th. If you turn them, like it, once more, let me know. My name's on the stuff. I tell you one more hint I want to give you before we start the venturing piece. When you finish, you can use use your favorite finish, except just don't use paints, because that chips off. Penetrating finish, what do you call it? You press on and then used for pens a lot of times.
Friction polish?
Friction polish. That'll work. Shellac, varnish, spray varnish. If you spray it on and you've done some embossing like this, do a very light spray the first time. Because if not, the colors tend to run down into the cracks and you won't see the embossing and the embellishing that you've done. So a light spray, you have to do it a couple of times. The other thing I'd mention is a lot of times you'll spray these and the grain will raise and it feels like sandpaper. We don't want to do that. So, go back to your chuck Put it in very lightly. Use 400 to 600 grit paper, real fine paper. I like this foam back paper. And what you do is you turn it on and go. Be careful on the edges because you wear it off. But just do like that, and you'll be surprised what a difference that makes on your finish. Then you put another coat or two on top of it because it'll scuff it up. But if you want people to say, "Ooh, how did you get that so fine?" You have to do some kind of sanding, and with the chuck, any one of those we've talked about, just put it in there and zip, zip, and it's really a lot easier than hand doing it. Question? No? All right. We're ready to go. The blocks are in the back. Pick one out that you'd like to use, and come up to one of our lathes, and we'll help you turn some. Let's turn a bunch today and see if we can help those kids.